Ladies and gentlemen, most people wake up immediately, ruin their day. They check their phone, rush into stress, and let the world control their mind. But what if I told you 5 simple lines practiced for centuries could change that forever? This isn't just about positive thinking. These words come from a tradition where monks train their minds to stay unshaken no matter what happens outside. And today you're getting them. No fluff, just what works. The first line, my mind is clear, my focus is sharp. There's a moment right when you wake up where you have a choice. You can let the world rush in the notifications, the worries, the noise, or you can set the tone for the day before any of that gets to you. This first line is your anchor. It's not just words, it's a command. When you say, my mind is clear, my focus is sharp, you're not hoping for clarity, you're declaring it. Think about how you usually start your day. Most people reach for their phone before their feet even hit the floor. Emails, messages, news, all of it flooding in before you've had a chance to decide how you want to. That's like opening your front door and letting strangers walk in without asking what they want. This line is you closing the door. It's you saying, not yet. First, I set my mind. The power isn't in the words themselves, it's in how you say them. Whispering it half asleep won't cut it. Half asleep won't cut it. You have to speak it like you mean it. Sit up, take a breath, say it out loud with your full voice. My mind is clear, my focus is sharp. Feel the difference. That's your brain responding. It's like a soldier standing at attention. You've given an order and now your mind is aligning with it. This one person helped creative AI-powered meals and activity tracker track meals and activities with voice photos. AI analyzes your data. Get personalized recommendations that actually work. Try for free sponsored isn't just theory, there's science behind it. When you speak with intention, your brain releases neurotransmitters that reinforce the message. It's why athletes talk to themselves before a big play. It's why performers repeat mantras before stepping on stage. They're not just calming nerves, they're programming their focus. And you can do the same. Try it tomorrow. The second you wake up, before you do anything else, sit up and say it. Don't overthink it. Just say it like it's already true. Then watch what happens. You'll notice the little things, the way you pause before reacting. The way distractions don't stick as easily, the way your thoughts feel less tangled. That's the effect of starting the day with command instead of chaos. But here's the catch, it only works if you do it every day. Not just when you feel like it, not just when life is easy, every single morning. Because repetition is what rewires your brain. 1 time is a fluke, 100 times is a habit, 1,000 times is a new default setting, so make it non-negotiable. No excuses. No, I'll do it later. The moment your eyes open, you sit up, you say the words and you set the tone. That's how you take control. Not by waiting for the world to be calm, but by making sure your mind is clear no matter what the world does. The second line, challenges strengthen me. Life doesn't ask for permission before it tests you. Things go wrong. Plans fall apart. People disappoint you. And in those moments, it's easy to ask, why is this happening to me? But that question leads nowhere. It keeps you stuck. The real question is, what is this here to teach me? Because every challenge, big or small, is an opportunity to grow strong. This line, challenges strengthen me, isn't about pretending things don't hurt. It's about refusing to let them break you. Think of it like a sword being forged. The fire is hot, the hammer is heavy. But without them, the blade would never hold an edge. You're no different. The struggles you face aren't just obstacles. They're the fire and the hammer shaping you into something sharper, tougher, more resilient. The problem is most people see challenges as something to avoid. They think strength comes from an easy life. But that's backward. Strength comes from resistance. It comes from pushing through when everything in you wants to quit. That's why this line matters. It reminds you in the moment when it's hardest to remember that you're not being weakened, you're being trained. Here's how to use it. When something goes wrong, when you're stuck in traffic, when you get criticized, when you fail, pause, take a breath, then say it out loud. Challenges strengthen me. Don't just think it, say it. Let your voice hear it. Let your body feel, because words have power when they're spoken with conviction. At first, it might feel like you're lying to yourself. That's normal. Your brain is used to reacting with frustration or fear, but repetition changes that. The more you say it, the more your mind starts to believe it, and eventually something shifts. You stop seeing problems as curses and start seeing them as lessons. That's when you realize you're not the same person you used to be. You're stronger. This isn't just philosophy, it's survival. The world doesn't care if you're having a bad day. It doesn't care if you're tired or stressed or unprepared. It will test you anyway. So you have a choice. You can crumble under the pressure or you can use it to grow. This line is your reminder. Every challenge is a chance to prove to yourself what you're made of. So start now. The next time something doesn't go your way, don't complain, don't wallow. Say the words "challenges strengthen me," then act like it. That's how warriors are made. Not by avoiding the fight, but by embracing it. The third line, I control only what I can. There comes a point where you have to face a simple truth. You will never control everything. The weather will do what it wants. Other people will say what they want. Circumstances will change without asking for your permission. This realization can either frustrate you or free you. This line, I control only what I can, is what separates those who waste their energy from those who use it wisely. Think about how much time you've spent worrying about things you couldn't change. The past, other people's opinions, situations that were out of your hands. That energy didn't help. It didn't fix anything. It just drained you. This line is a reminder to stop that cycle. It's not about giving up. It's about focusing on what actually matters. The things you can influence: your effort, your attitude, your next move. These are always yours. No one can take them from you. No bad day, no difficult person, no unexpected problem can rob you of that. When you wake up and say this line, you're drawing a line in the sand. You're declaring, this is where my power starts and ends. And once you truly understand, everything changes. Most people live and resist. They fight against what they can't control. And in doing so, they exhaust themselves. They complain about traffic instead of accepting it and using the time to think or listen to something useful. They stress over other people's actions instead of focusing on their own. They obsess over outcomes instead of committing to their effort. This line cuts through that. It brings you back to what's real. Here's how to use it. When you catch yourself spinning your wheels over something you can't change. When you're replaying a conversation you can't undo, or worrying about a decision that isn't yours to make. Stop. Say it out loud. I control only what I can. Then ask yourself, what can I actually do right now? If the answer is nothing, let it go. If the answer is something, do that. No more, no less. This isn't passive, it's strategic. The strongest warriors don't waste energy on battles they can't win. They focus on the fights they can. Your life is no different. Every moment you spend trying to control the uncontrollable is a moment you're not using to strengthen what you can control. Your discipline, your mindset, your actions, those are your real weapon. Over time, this line trains you to spot the difference between what's yours to handle and what isn't. You'll catch yourself faster when you start slipping into frustration over things you can't change. You'll feel lighter because you're no longer carrying the weight of the world, just your part in it. And that's how you become unstoppable. Not by controlling everything, but by mastering what's yours to control. The fourth line, patience is power. We live in a world that's constantly screaming at us to move faster. Faster, faster answers, faster success. Your phone delivers food to your door in minutes. Videos play at double speed to save you time. News comes in quick flashes before you've even processed the last story. Everything around you is designed to feed the illusion that speed equals progress. But here's the truth. They don't tell. Real strength isn't found in how fast you can get something. It's found in how calmly you can wait for what matters. This line, patience is power, isn't just words. It's armor against the madness of rushing. It's the understanding that the most valuable things in life cannot be hurried. Think about how a tree grows. It doesn't stretch itself taller by force. It doesn't panic when seasons change. It stands firm, drawing nutrients from the earth, reaching slowly toward the sun, becoming stronger with each passing year. That's patience, and that's where true power lives. Right now, you might be waiting for something important. Maybe it's a career breakthrough. Maybe it's healing from a loss. Maybe it's seeing the results of your hard work. The waiting feels heavy because everything in modern life tells you it shouldn't take this long. But that heaviness, that's actually the weight of transformation happening beneath the surface. When you say patience is power, you're not just comforting yourself. You're aligning with an ancient truth that every great warrior, every wise teacher, every master of their craft has known. Anything worth having demands time. Impatience is more than just restlessness. It's a kind of blindness. When you're impatient, you miss the lessons hidden in the process. You skip steps that were meant to strengthen you. You make decisions from desperation rather than wisdom. History's greatest mistakes were made by people who couldn't wait. Wars started over rushed judgments, fortunes lost by chasing quick wins, relationships broken by demanding instant change. Patience isn't passive. It's the most active form of discipline there is. It's choosing to move at the right speed rather than the fastest one. Here's how to make this line real in your life. When you feel that familiar tension rising, when your foot starts tapping, when your mind starts racing with why isn't this happening yet, stop. Breathe deeply 3 times, then say out loud, patience is power. Feel the words in your chest. Let them remind you that this moment of waiting isn't empty space. It's preparation. Every master was once a student. Every oak was once an awan. Nothing strong is built overnight. This practice does something remarkable over time. It rewires your relationship with time itself. Where you once saw delays as obstacles, you'll begin to see them as part of the path. Where you once measured your progress against others, you'll start trusting your own rhythm. That project that's taking longer than expected, it's developing depth. That skill that's not coming easily. It's building foundations that won't crack. The changes you want to see in yourself or others. They're growing roots that will last. There's a reason this wisdom appears in every ancient tradition across the world. The samurai called it remaining unmoved. The Stoics called it the discipline of ascent. The great philosophers and warriors all understood what we've forgotten, that the ability to wait calmly is the mark of true strength. Not because you are passive, but because you are so certain of your path that you refuse to be shaken by time's passage. Try this tomorrow. When you wake up, before you reach for your phone, say the line, patience is power. Carry it with you through the day. When traffic tests you, when lines feel too long, when answers don't come quickly, let the words ground. Notice how different the waiting feels when you're not fighting against it. That's the secret. The moment you stop resisting time, you begin working with it instead of against it. This isn't about sitting back and it's about showing up every day while understanding that some things can't be forced. The farmer doesn't dig up seeds to check their growth. The blacksmith doesn't rush the tempering of steel. You don't become wise by reading one book or strong by lifting once or skilled by practicing for a day. Everything real takes the time it takes. When you truly embrace this, something shifts. You stop measuring your life in quick wins and start building something that lasts. You become like the deep roots of ancient trees unshaken by surface storms. That's the power patience gives you. Not just the ability to wait, but the strength to grow while you're waiting. So the next time impatience rises, don't push it away. Don't let it make you restless. Look it in the eye and say you're lying. Then keep going. Keep building. Keep becoming. Keep becoming. The world needs people who understand that true power isn't seized, it's cultivated. One day, one lesson, one moment of patience at a time. That's how oaks grow. That's how mountains. That's how you become someone who can't be moved by temporary frustrations because you're focused on lasting strengths. Patience isn't just power. It's the quietest, most unstoppable form of power there is, and it's yours the moment you choose it. The 5th line, gratitude attracts more. The moment your eyes open each morning before the world crashes in with its demands and distractions, there exists a quiet space where everything is possible. It's in this space that you have your first and perhaps most important choice of the day. Will you reach for gratitude or grasp for grievances? This 5th line, gratitude attracts more, isn't about positive thinking. It's about practical neuroscience and the undeniable truth that what you focus on grows. Consider this. Your brain is like a highly sophisticated search engine. Whatever terms you input first thing in the morning become the filters through which your day gets processed. Wake up complaining about being tired. Your brain will find endless evidence to confirm that fatigue. Start with gratitude for the simple fact of waking up at all. Suddenly, your neural pathways begin highlighting opportunities rather than obstacle. This isn't mystical thinking, it's how your reticular activating system works, the part of your brain responsible for selective attention. The practice is deceptively simple but profoundly transformative. Before your feet touch the floor, before you check your phone, before you begin the mental list of everything you have to do, pause. Name one thing you're genuinely grateful for. In that moment, It doesn't need to be grand or profound. The warmth of the blankets, the sound of birds outside, that first full breath filling your lungs, this simple act does something remarkable. It sets your internal compass toward abundance rather than lack for the entire day. Modern research confirms what ancient wisdom traditions have always known. Gratitude practice physically changes your brain. MRI scans show regular gratitude exercises thicken the prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for decision-making and emotional regulation. It lowers cortisol levels by up to 23%, reducing stress more effectively than some medication. It increases dopamine production, that feel-good neurotransmitter that motivates you to take positive action. When you say gratitude attracts more, you're not reciting a feel-good mantra. You're activating measurable biological changes that reshape how you experience reality. But here's where most people go wrong. They treat gratitude as something to do when life is good. Rather than understanding it's the tool that makes life good, they wait for external circumstances to warrant thankfulness, not realizing it's the thankfulness that transforms circumstance. The true power of this practice reveals itself on the difficult mornings. When you're tired, when problems loom, when nothing seems to be going right, that's when consciously choosing gratitude becomes revolution. Finding one thing, even if it's simply that you survived tonight, keeps you anchored in your power rather than adrift in victimhood. This daily ritual creates a compounding effect most never experience because they quit too soon. After 30 days, you'll notice subtle shifts. You catch beauty in mundane moments. You're quicker to recognize solutions. Setbacks feel temporary rather than permanent. After 90 days, the changes become undeniable. Your default setting moves from what's wrong to what's possible. After a year, you fundamentally rewired your nervous system to operate from abundance rather than scarcity. Opportunities seem to find you because you've trained yourself to see them where others see only lack. The mechanism is simple but profound. What you appreciate, appreciate. Grateful for your health, you'll take actions that maintain it. Thankful for your relationships, you'll nurture them. Appreciative of opportunities, you'll spot and seize them. This isn't magic, it's cause and effect operating exactly as designed. The universe responds to focused attention. Water what you want to grow? Some mornings the gratitude will flow easily. Other days you'll have to dig deep, but practice isn't about the size of what you're grateful for, but the consistency of looking for. Even in loss, there is something to honor. Lessons learned, strength gained, love experienced. This isn't about denying pain, but about refusing to let pain blind you to everything else. Even in the darkest night, giving thanks for a single star keeps you oriented toward light. The more that gratitude attracts isn't necessarily material, though that often follows. More importantly, it attracts more awareness, more resilience, more connection. You become a magnet for meaningful experiences because you're present enough to recognize them. Where the ungrateful mind walks through life as through a desert, always thirsty, never satisfied, the grateful heart finds springs everywhere. This practice requires no special equipment, no perfect conditions, no additional time. Just a moment between sleeping and rising when you consciously choose your lanes on the world. The words gratitude attracts more are your reminder that abundance isn't something you acquire, but something you recognize. The more you practice this recognition, the more there is to recognize. So tomorrow morning, in those first quiet moments, try it not as an experiment, but as an offering. Name your one thing, feel it, mean it. Then watch what happens in your mind, in your day, in your life. The evidence will speak for itself. What you appreciate appreciates. What you focus on grows. What you thank expands. This isn't wishful thinking. It's the most practical wisdom you'll ever apply. The secret was never about getting more to be grateful for. It's always been about being grateful to get more. More joy, more peace, more meaning from the life you already lived. That's the alchemy of this fifth line. That's how gratitude attracts more. By revealing that much of what you've been seeking was there all along, waiting only to be noticed. Why these lines work? The science behind. There's a reason these 5 lines have survived centuries, while countless self-help trends have come and gone. They're not motivational quotes. They're not positive affirmation. They're neural commands, carefully crafted phrases designed to rewire your brain from the inside out. Modern science is now catching up to what ancient traditions have known all along. Words spoken with intention don't just describe reality, they create it. When you say these lines out loud with conviction, something remarkable happens in your body. Your brain releases dopamine, the motivation chemical that helps you take action. Cortisol levels drop by up to 23% within minutes. That's the stress hormone that clouds judgment. Your prefrontal cortex lights up, the part responsible for focus and decision. This isn't speculation. My scans of monks and long-term practitioners show physical changes in brain structure, thicker gray matter in regions associated with emotional regulation, increased neural connectivity between logical and emotional centers. Their brains literally reshaped from. Yours, the magic lies in the combination of three powerful elements: verbal articulation, emotional engagement, physical posture. When you stand up straight and declare, "My mind is clear, my focus is sharp," you're not just thinking it, you're embodying it. Your muscles tense slightly, your breathing patterns shift, your vocal cords vibrate. These physical signals tell your nervous system this is real. That's why whispering the lines half asleep does nothing. That's why reading them silently lacks power. The full effect requires your whole being, voice, body, and mind aligned behind each word. Neuroscientists called this experience-dependent neuroplasticity, a fancy term meaning your brain changes based on what you repeatedly do. Every time you sincerely speak these lines, you're carving new pathways between neurons. At first, these pathways are weak, like a faint trail through grass. But with daily repetition, they become superhighways, automatic thought patterns that fire without conscious effort. That's when the real transformation occurs. You don't have to remember to stay calm under stress. Your brain defaults to it. You don't force patience. It becomes your natural response. The lines work because they're time-tested formulas, each one targeting a specific mental trap. I control only what I can. Disarms anxiety about external events. Challenges strengthen me. Reframes obstacles as training. Together they form a complete system for mental resilience. Research on cognitive behavioral therapy shows similar phrasing techniques can be as effective as medication for mild depression and anxiety without side effects. The key is consistency. One day of saying them proves nothing. 30 days begins the rewiring. 90 days creates lasting change. What's fascinating is how these ancient words align perfectly with modern understanding of the brain. Patience is power correlates with research on delayed gratification and success. Gratitude attracts more mirrors findings in positive psychology about attention. By these aren't mystical concepts. They're practical tools backed by hard science. Your brain doesn't care whether the wisdom comes from a lab or a temple. It responds to repeated focus input. The proof isn't in studies or scans though, it's in your lived experience. Try it rigorously for 2 weeks. Measure your stress levels. Track your reactions. Notice your thought patterns. The changes will be subtle at first. A half-second pause before irritation. Slightly quicker return to calm after upset. Small moments of clarity where there used to be F. These are the signs of your brain adapting. Keep going. And the changes become undeniable. That's when you realize these aren't just lines. They're leverage points for altering your entire experience of life. The mistake 99% of people make. Here's the hard truth. No one tells you about personal growth. Most people don't fail because they lack good techniques. They fail because they use great techniques poorly. These 5 lines could transform nearly every aspect of your life if you actually applied them correctly. But here's what typically happens instead. Someone hears the lines, gets excited, tries them for a day or two, mumbling half-heartedly while lying in bed, feels nothing dramatically different, and quits. Then they declare, "This stuff doesn't work," and go back to their old ways. This isn't failure of the method, it's failure of execution. The mistake isn't complex, it's simple. Passive repetition versus active embodiment. There's a world of difference between whispering, "My mind is clear," under your breath while hitting snooze and standing tall looking in the mirror and declaring it with your full chest like your life depends on it. One is a wish, the other is a command. Your nervous system knows the difference immediately. Think about how we normally speak important words. Wedding vows, oaths of office, battle cries, there's weight behind them. Posture, eye contact, full breath support. Now, compare that to how most people try personal development, slouched over their phone, skimming words on the screen. maybe repeating them mentally while distracted. No wonder they see no results. The words never had a chance to take root. The fix isn't complicated, but it requires something most aren't willing to give full presence. When you say these lines, they deserve your complete attention. Stand up straight. Posture affects mindset. Look at your reflection. Eye contact increases self-accountability. Speak clearly. Articulation enhances neural encoding. Feel each word. Emotional connection strengthens memory. This whole process takes maybe 30 seconds per line, but that focused half minute does more than hours of distracted repetition. Here's what happens when you do it right. The first few days feel awkward. You might catch yourself rushing. Your voice might lack conviction. That's normal. By day 5, something shifts. The words start sounding less foreign. By day 7, you'll notice subtle changes, small moments where the lines pop into your head automatically when needed. Around day 21, other people begin noticing something's different about you. Not because you told them, but because your reactions, your energy, your presence has undeniably changed. The biggest obstacle isn't complexity, it's consistency. Not knowing what to do, but doing what you know consistently enough for it to match. These lines work through cumulative effect, each repetition layering upon the last, like bricks in a foundation. Most people quit after 3 days because they're looking for fireworks when they should be watching for subtle shifts in their mental landscape. There's an old saying, water boils at 100 degrees but starts getting hot at 50. Most people walk away at 30 degrees. Frustrated that nothing's bubbling yet, they mistake the process for lack of result. But the work between 30 and 90 degrees isn't wasted. It's what makes the eventual transformation possible. These lines operate the same way. The changes happen gradually. Then some. So, if you've tried similar practices before without success, ask yourself honestly, did you really give them a fair chance? Did you bring your full self to the practice daily for at least 30 days? Or did you dip a toe in, decide the water wasn't warm enough immediately, and walk away? The difference between those who see life-changing results and those who don't isn't luck or talent. It's who stays in the practice long enough for the compound interest to pay off. This time, do it differently. No half measures, no distracted attempt. Just 30 days of full presence with these lines. Stand up, speak up, mean it, then watch what happens. Not in some distant future, but in the quality of your very next day. That's how you'll know it's working. When the proof isn't in some promised transformation, but in the undeniable shift of your daily experience. How to remember them every morning. Let's be honest, no matter how powerful these 5 lines are, they won't change your life if you forget to say them. And here's the uncomfortable truth. You will forget, at least at first. Not because you're lazy or undisciplined, but because your brain is wired to resist new habits. It prefers autopilot, it clings to routine. So if you think you'll just remember naturally to recite these lines every morning, you're setting yourself up for failure. But there's a way around this. A method so simple most people overlook it because it feels too obvious. You don't rely on memory, you rely on trigger. Your environment shapes your behavior more than willpower ever could. Think about it. You don't remember to brush your teeth. You walk into the bathroom, see the toothbrush, and the action follows automatically. That's the power of environmental cues. These lines need the same treatment. They need to be unavoidable in your morning routine until they become second nature. Here's how to make that happen. First, the mirror trick. Write the 5 lines on a sticky note and place it right at eye level on your bathroom mirror, not off to the side, not somewhere neat, dead center where you can't possibly miss it. When you stumble into the bathroom half awake, those words should be the first thing you see. Pair this with a rule. You don't get to look at your reflection until you've said the lines out loud. It sounds trivial, but this tiny act of conditioning works. Your brain starts linking mirror with recitation. Within a week, you'll find yourself automatically starting the lines before you've even fully registered the sticky note. Second, alarm labeling. Change your morning alarm label from wake up to the first line, my mind is clear. Not only does this jolt you awake with purpose, but it serves as the perfect transition into the practice. The moment you silence the alarm, you're already primed to continue the sequence for extra reinforcement. Set a second alarm 2 minutes later, labeled Say Them All. This creates a structured window where the practice happens automatically before the distractions of the day creep in. Third, Screensaver strategy. Take a photo of the 5 lines written neatly or type them out in large bold font and set it as your phone's lock screen. Now when you instinctively reach for your phone in the morning, as most of us do, you're greeted with the lines instead of emails or social media. This serves 2 purposes. It reminds you to say them, and it delays your dive into digital chaos, giving the lines time to sink in before the world intrudes. The key isn't choosing one of these methods, it's using all of them simultaneously for the first critical weeks. You're creating multiple fail-safes, a web of reminders that make forgetting nearly impossible. It might feel excessive at first. That's the point. You're not just trying to remember, you're trying to rewire. Studies on habit formation show that actions repeated consistently in the same context for 30-60 days become automatic. That's what you're engineering here. Around day 15, something interesting happens. You catch yourself starting the lines before encountering any of your reminders. That's the habit forming. But don't remove the triggers yet. Keep them in place until day 30 at least. By then, skipping the lines will feel as unnatural as skipping brushing your teeth. That's when you know the habit has truly taken root. When not doing it feels worse than doing it. Real life stories, not what you expect. Stories stick where statistics fade. You can talk all day about neural pathways and cortisol levels, but nothing proves the power of these 5 lines like seeing what happens when real people apply them in real situations. Not in theory, not in controlled studies, in the messy, unpredictable trenches of daily life. Take the college student, we'll call him Mark, who discovered these lines during his junior year. Before exams, he'd always been a wreck, pulling all-nighters, hands shaking during tests, barely scraping by despite knowing the material. Then he started reciting, "My mind is clear, my focus is sharp," while standing outside the exam room, not just whispering, but declaring it under his breath with his whole body engaged. The first time he noticed his breathing slow. The second time, he caught himself smiling at how absurdly simple it was. By midterms, something shifted. He wasn't just less anxious, he was faster. Information came to him quicker during tests, as if his brain had been waiting for permission to perform. His grades didn't just improve, they skyrocketed. Not because he studied more, but because he finally accessed what he already knew. Then there's the CEO, let's name her Sarah, who transformed her entire company culture with 1 line. She ran a high-pressure tech startup where meetings were battlegrounds. People talked over each other, decisions were made in anger, and stress hung thick in the air. Then she introduced what she called the grounding minute at the start of every meeting. Everyone would stand posture matters and recite line 3 together. "I control only what I can." At first, her team thought it was corporate nonsense. But within weeks, something remarkable happened. Meetings became 25% shorter because less time was wasted on complaints about uncontrollable factors. Employee stress surveys showed a 40% drop in reported anxiety. Client satisfaction scores jumped all because they'd been given permission through that simple line to focus only where their energy mattered. These aren't isolated cases. There's the nurse who used patience is power during double shifts and found herself not just enduring, but actually appreciating the chaos. The single mother who anchored her mornings with gratitude attracts more and slowly watched her entire perspective on poverty shift. The athlete who whispered, "Challenges strengthened me" during grueling training sessions and broke personal records he'd been stuck at for years. The pattern is clear but often missed. These people didn't just think positive. They physically engaged with the lines. They stood up. They spoke aloud. They connected breath to words. That's the difference between affirmation and transformation, between wishing and rewiring. What's most surprising isn't that the lines work, it's how they work. They don't change circumstances. They change perception. The students still faced the same exams. The CEO still had the same market pressures. The nurse still worked the same shift. But their relationship to those challenges fundamentally shifted. That's the real magic. Not that life gets easier, but that you become stronger where it counts. These stories matter because they prove something vital. This isn't esoteric philosophy. It's practical, applicable, and brutally effective when properly applied. The evidence isn't just in labs or ancient texts, it's in classrooms, boardrooms, and living rooms. Right now, the question isn't whether these lines work, it's whether you'll use them long enough to let them. What happens after 100 days? 100 mornings, that's all it takes. 100 sunrises where you stand up and speak these 5 lines like your life depends on them. At first, it feels like a practice, then it becomes a habit. But by day 100, it becomes who you are. The change happens so gradually you barely notice it until one day you're in the middle of a crisis and realize you're responding differently. Your hands aren't shaking, your breath stays steady. The chaos around you doesn't disappear, but your relationship to it has transformed completely. That's when you understand these aren't just words you've been repeating. They're the foundation of a new way of being. Imagine this, you're running late for an important meeting. Traffic is at a standstill. Normally, this would send your heart racing, your thoughts spiraling into worst-case scenarios. But today, before the frustration can even take root, you hear yourself whispering, "I control only what I can." And just like that, the tension releases. You check your mirrors, change lanes when there's an opening, and accept the situation. The meeting happens when it happens. This isn't forced calm. It's automatic. That's day 100. Or picture this, you receive criticism that would have ruined your week months ago. Now, before the self-doubt can gain momentum, there's a voice in your head. Challenges strengthen me. Suddenly, you're scanning the feedback for truth instead of recoiling from the discomfort. You're growing where you used to grow. That's day 100. Here's what no one tells you about true mental strength. It's not about avoiding stress. It's about developing a different response to stress. After 100 days, these lines become your first line of defense. They fire automatically like reflexes you've trained through repetition. Scientists call this automaticity. When behaviors become so ingrained, they require no conscious thought. It's why experienced drivers don't think about shifting gears. Why musicians' fingers find the right notes without evils before you've decided to summon them. The physical changes are measurable. Sit back, hum. Your resting heart rate lowers. Your sleep quality improves. Cortisol levels drop while baseline dopamine increase. These aren't placebo effects. They're the natural consequences of consistently interrupting stress responses with intentional thought patterns. Your body learns this is how we handle pressure now. But the most profound changes are subtle. You start noticing the space between events and your reactions, a gap that didn't exist before. Where there was once an instant flare of anger, there's now a breath where panic used to dominate. There's assessment. This space is where your power, it's not that problems disappear, it's that they no longer control you. Relationships shift too. People comment on your calmness. They ask your secret. The truth is embarrassingly simple. You've just shown up for yourself 100 mornings in a row. No magic. No shortcut, just repetition and the willingness to feel silly standing in your bathroom talking to the mirror. There's an unexpected side effect. Your standards rise. What you once tolerated, toxic environments, petty conflicts, self-sabotaging behaviors becomes intolerable. Not because you're forcing change, but because your nervous system now registers discord more acutely. You've tasted what it's like to operate from clarity rather than reactivity, and there's no going back. The lines begin blending together in application. A setback hits and challenges strengthen me, flows seamlessly into patience's power. Morning gratitude practice reinforces my mind is clear. They become less like separate phrases and more like facets of a single mindset, a lens through which you view the world. By day 100, the practice has done its deepest work. It's rewired your default settings. Where there was once lack, there's now appreciation. Where there was resistance, there's acceptance. Where there was fragility, there's resilience. Not because you've become someone else, but because you've uncovered who you were beneath all the conditioned reactions. This isn't the finish line, it's the starting point. Now the real work begins. Living from this foundation, testing it against life's inevitable storms, discovering its depth. But one thing is certain, after 100 days, you're not who you were. And that person, the one who used to get knocked off center by every little thing, they already feel like a stranger. The lines have done their job. They've given you the ultimate gift. Not control over life's unpredictability, but mastery over your experience of it. That's day 100. That's when you realize this was never about It was always about waking up to who you could become by simply showing up one sunrise at a time and choosing your mind before it could be chosen for you. Now, the question remains, will you be one of the few who lasts long enough to find out? The 100th day comes for everyone who sticks with it. The only variable is whether you'll be there to meet it. You don't need to meditate for hours or quit your job to find peace. Start with these 5 lines. Tomorrow, not someday. The moment you wake up, take 10 seconds to say that every journey worth taking tests your patience, not your talent. It's easy to get excited at the start, full of motivation, full of promises to yourself. But motivation is temporary. It fades when the days get heavy, when the routine feels boring, when the results don't show as fast as you hoped. That's where most people stop. They think it isn't working. They tell themselves they'll start again later. But here's the truth. The only thing separating those who transform their lives from those who don't is endurance. It's the ability to stay, to show up one more day, to give it one more chance. The 100th day comes for everyone who sticks with it, but not everyone makes it there. And that's the difference. The outcome isn't determined by the dream you had at the beginning, but by the discipline you practice when the dream feels far away. When you really think about it, peace, growth, and transformation don't demand grand sacrifices. You don't need to spend hours meditating in silence or walk away from your entire life to feel grounded. You don't need to chase a dramatic reset or wait for the perfect moment. The shift begins in the smallest pockets of time, the briefest decisions you repeat daily. It starts the second you wake up, before the world makes its demands on you, before your doubts creep in. That first moment belongs to you, and it's powerful if you choose to use it. 10 seconds, that's all it takes. 10 seconds to tell yourself what matters, to remind yourself why you're here. To set an intention that directs the next 24 hours of your life. Tomorrow, not someday, not when I feel ready, not after this busy week. Tomorrow is the test. Because tomorrow morning will arrive whether you prepare for it or not. The only choice is whether you step into it consciously or let it sweep you into the same old cycle. Imagine waking up and instead of rolling over into your phone, into noise, into distraction, you pause and take 10 seconds to speak 5 lines to yourself, 5 truths, 5 reminders that anchor you. It doesn't matter if they sound simple or even repetitive. What matters is the act, the ritual of proving to yourself that you can start your day with purpose rather than drift into it unconsciously. Think about how those seconds compound. One morning turns into 10 mornings, 10 mornings into a month into 100 days. And by the time you've stood that test, you're no longer the same person. You've taught your mind to prioritize stillness over chaos, clarity over confusion, and intention over impact. You've rewired not only how you start your days, but how you live them. And then you realize peace was never somewhere far away, waiting to be discovered. It was always within you, waiting for you to choose it 10 seconds at a time. So the question remains, will you last long enough to meet that 100th day? Because if you do, you'll find out what most people never will, that transformation isn't about doing more, but about doing what matters long enough for it to matter.